Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about navigating the often overwhelming chaos of modern life. You know that feeling, right? That sense of being pulled in, well, a million different directions by things that feel entirely out of your hands. It's a common experience, isn't it? Kind of a quiet but persistent hum of anxiety in our fast-paced world. But here's where it gets really interesting. Philosophers, like 2,000 years ago, felt the exact same way. And they didn't just passively observe this. They actively developed a sophisticated mind operating system to deal with it, a philosophy we now call Stoicism. Now, some of you might be wondering, what could ancient Greek philosophy possibly have to do with learning English?
Right.
Especially in a practical sense. And that's a brilliant question. The connection, surprisingly, is, well, it's profound and incredibly useful. Stoicism isn't about suppressing your emotions or turning into some kind of, robotic, unfeeling person.
No.
Instead, it's a powerful framework for building incredible mental resilience. It's a way to focus your precious energy where it truly matters, and to find a deep sense of inner peace amidst life's inevitable ups and downs. And the language we use, both in our inner thoughts and our outward communication, plays a massive, often underestimated role in cultivating that resilience and peace. So our mission today is to embark on a deep dive, exploring these potent Stoic concepts. But we're not just learning philosophy, we're simultaneously equipping you with the precise English vocabulary and phrases you need to express this newfound strength, this clarity of thought. Think of this as a double upgrade, enhancing both your mindset and your language skills. It's about being truly well-informed, not just about an ancient system of thought, but about how it can give you practical, immediately applicable insights into your daily life and your command of English. I am genuinely excited for this journey. I mean, discovering how wisdom from 2 millennia ago can still powerfully transform our daily challenges, and then realizing it can also unexpectedly boost our English abilities.
Yeah.
That, to me, is simply incredible. It's the joy of connecting dots across time and disciplines, making these ancient ideas incredibly relevant and actionable today.
And that's precisely why this particular deep dive is so vital for our listeners. What's truly fascinating here is that at its core, Stoicism is remarkably simple, yet its impact is, well, profoundly transformative. It boils down to one fundamental guiding idea: focusing our energy exclusively on what we can control, and consciously letting go of what we cannot. It's a beautifully elegant blueprint for mental peace, absolutely, but it also provides an incredibly clear and effective framework for precise, impactful communication in English. When you truly grasp the why behind this philosophy, you start to realize that the words we choose, the way we structure our sentences, even our tone of voice, it directly reflects and reinforces our state of mind. It becomes a powerful tool for not just describing our reality, but for actively shaping it, for anyone looking to build a more resilient self and a stronger, more nuanced command of the English language.
Okay, let's unpack this. To really engage with Stoicism, to truly think and speak about its principles, we need a very specific, almost specialized vocabulary. It's not just about learning everyday words. We need a more abstract and powerful set of terms to truly discuss these deep foundational ideas. Think of it as unlocking a whole new layer of thinking, and perhaps even more importantly for our purposes, a new sophisticated way of speaking in English about complex human experiences.
Yeah.
About mental fortitude and about achieving inner calm.
Exactly. These aren't merely words you memorize, they are, as you said, doorways. Each term we're about to explore opens up a critical facet of this philosophy. Understanding them doesn't just improve your ability to talk about Stoicism, it profoundly enriches your overall English comprehension and expression. These concepts touch on universal human experiences, challenges, aspirations, ethical dilemmas, stuff like that. When you grasp the nuance of a word like resilience in a Stoic context, it fundamentally changes how you understand similar concepts, whether you encounter them in an article, a novel, or just a conversation. It's about arming yourself with a more sophisticated linguistic toolkit for thought and for speech.
I love that idea of doorways. So let's open them up and jump into these core concepts then. First up, the big one, the overarching idea, Stoicism itself. We've mentioned it, but what is it, really, beyond just an ancient philosophy?
Well, as we briefly touched on, Stoicism is an ancient Greek philosophy. It originated in Athens around 300 BC, founded by a philosopher named Zeno of Citium. But don't let the ancient part make you think it's dusty or irrelevant. It's not just an academic pursuit. It's a profoundly practical philosophy, explicitly designed for daily living.
Ah, yeah.
It teaches us how to live a good life, how to find genuine peace and lasting happiness by focusing our attention and effort solely on what is truly within our control. It's a philosophy of continuous action, personal ethics, and self-mastery. It's less about abstract theories and more about a robust daily practice.
So it's not about sitting around in an ivory tower just thinking. It's about actively doing and applying these ideas in the messy reality of life.
Precisely. It's the hands-on, highly actionable approach to life. And a core concept that emerges directly from this active philosophy is resilience. We hear this word a lot in modern psychology and self-help, but how do the Stoics define and cultivate it? Resilience, simply put, is the capacity to recover from difficulties. In the Stoic view, life will throw challenges at you. It's not an if, it's definitely a when.
Yeah, that feels true.
Stoicism doesn't promise a life free of problems. That would be, unrealistic. Instead, it equips you with the mental tools and framework to navigate those problems effectively, to bounce back from setbacks, to adapt to changing circumstances, and even, remarkably, to grow stronger because of those difficulties. It's about developing an impregnable inner fortress against external pressures. Not by avoiding them, but by mastering your response to them. It's not about being unfeeling, but about feeling purposefully and recovering quickly.
I think that's something we all intuitively strive for, isn't it?
Yeah.
That ability to not just survive a tough situation, but to really come through it stronger, maybe with even new insights or capabilities. It feels incredibly relevant for everyone, regardless of their current challenges.
Absolutely. And closely tied to that idea of inner strength and purpose is the Stoic concept of virtue. This is defined as moral excellence, and for the Stoics, it's the only true good. Everything else, wealth, health, fame, pleasure, is considered indifferent.
The only true good. Wow, that's quite a bold, even radical claim, isn't it?
Ah.
Especially in our consumer-driven world. What does that mean in practical, everyday terms?
Well, it means that things like wealth, physical health, reputation, or even momentary pleasure, while not inherently bad or undesirable, they're fundamentally external,
Yeah.
and thus not entirely within our ultimate control.
Yeah.
If your happiness or peace of mind is entirely dependent on having these externals, you're building your house on sand. True, lasting good, for a Stoic, comes solely from our character, from how we choose to act, and from our moral choices. Ah, so it's internal.
Exactly. It's an internal state fully within our power. The Stoics identified 4 cardinal virtues that serve as an internal compass: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These are the internal qualities by which they believed we should consistently guide our lives.
So it's about building an unshakable inner character that is impervious to external circumstances rather than, chasing fleeting external rewards or worrying about what we can't control. That distinction makes so much sense. And speaking of character, that brings us directly to mindset.
Yes, mindset is simply a way of thinking. Stoicism is fundamentally about actively cultivating a specific, empowering mindset. It's about consciously choosing how you perceive events, how you interpret challenges, and how you approach life's inevitable curveballs. It's not a passive disposition you're born with, but an active daily process of mental training, a skill you develop. For example, when you face a deadline, a Stoic mindset doesn't just say, oh no, this is impossible.
Right.
It asks, okay, what is the most rational, effective way to approach this, given my current resources? And life, of course, gives us plenty of relentless opportunities to test that mindset. Which brings us to the very real and unavoidable experiences of adversity and hardship.
Indeed. These terms refer to difficulties, struggles, or challenges. Stoicism doesn't pretend that adversity and hardship aren't painful or difficult. It acknowledges that they are an inevitable, intrinsic part of the human experience. The Stoic mindset prepares you to face them head-on, seeing them not as curses to be avoided, but as opportunities to practice your virtues, to show wisdom, courage, justice, or temperance. It's like a seasoned sailor who understands you can't prevent the storm, but you can learn to sail better through it, strengthening your skills with every turbulent wave.
And if you learn to navigate those waves with skill and virtue, the ultimate emotional and psychological goal, I imagine, is tranquility or inner peace.
Precisely. Tranquility or inner peace is the ultimate cherished goal of Stoic practice. It's about achieving a state of profound mental calmness and freedom from internal disturbance, even amidst life's most turbulent chaos. It's not the absence of external problems or difficulties, it's the absence of internal disturbance because of those problems. Imagine a calm lake. Even as a storm rages overhead, its depths remain undisturbed. That's the essence of Stoic tranquility.
That truly sounds like a superpower in our frantic world.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a central concept earlier that underpins all of this. I'm eager to hear more about that because it sounds like the linchpin.
Yes, it truly is the linchpin.
Yeah.
The dichotomy of control. We're going to dive much deeper into this in our next section as it's the core engine of the philosophy. But for now, understand that it's the fundamental idea of focusing solely on what we can control and recognizing what we cannot. What's truly fascinating here is how much this single, seemingly simple idea underpins everything else we're discussing. It's the primary filter through which all other Stoic principles, like cultivating resilience or achieving tranquility, are effectively applied. It's the starting point for all Stoic action and thought.
And how we apply that filter, how we interpret and respond to the world, of course, depends entirely on our perspective.
Exactly. Perspective refers to how we interpret events, our viewpoint. Stoicism teaches us that events themselves are largely neutral. They just are. It's our judgment, our interpretation, and the story we tell ourselves about them that makes them good or bad.
Oh, okay.
By consciously shifting our perspective, by reframing our judgments, we can often transform a perceived negative event into something neutral or even remarkably into something positive, an opportunity for growth or practice. For instance, a traffic jam isn't inherently bad, it's your perspective on the lost time that causes frustration.
So let's circle back to those 4 cardinal virtues you mentioned earlier. Wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. They're not just abstract, lofty ideals, are they? Can you give us a sense of what they look like in action, maybe in a modern context?
Not at all. They're intensely practical guiding principles for daily living. First, wisdom. In a Stoic context, this isn't just about accumulating facts or being, academically smart. It's about knowing what truly is good, what is bad, and what is indifferent. It's the practical intelligence to navigate life's complexities and make sound judgments. For example, it's the wisdom to realize that obsessing over a rude comment you saw on social media truly doesn't matter in the grand scheme of your character or your overall well-being.
Right.
While focusing on how you treat your loved ones or how you show up for your work profoundly does. That's a deep insight into what to truly value and what to let go of.
That hits home. It's about discerning what genuinely impacts your life versus what's just, noise. And courage. Is that just about being physically brave, like a hero in a movie?
Far from it. Stoic courage certainly encompasses physical bravery, yes. But more importantly, it's the moral courage to face adversity head-on. The courage to speak the truth even when it's unpopular, to act morally even when it's difficult or inconvenient, and to confront our own fears and insecurities. It's the bravery to admit when you're wrong in a tough meeting, perhaps, or to finally start that difficult but necessary conversation you've been avoiding with a family member. It's the strength of character required to persevere in the face of internal and external challenges, to do what's right, not what's easy.
That makes a lot of sense, especially when you think about the quiet acts of bravery required in daily life and relationships. What about justice?
Justice is about treating others fairly, understanding our interconnected role in the wider community, and acting ethically towards everyone. For Stoics, we are all part of a larger human family, and our actions should reflect that profound interconnectedness.
Okay.
It's about being a good citizen of the world, contributing positively to society, and ensuring our actions don't cause harm. For example, it's the justice to not cut corners at work simply for personal gain, knowing that your actions affect your colleagues and customers. It's about extending empathy and fairness, even to those who might not extend it to you.
And finally, temperance.
Temperance is about moderation, self-control, and balance in all things. It's about avoiding extremes, whether in pleasure or pain, and cultivating discipline over our desires and impulses. It's knowing when enough is enough, whether it's with food, entertainment, or even work, and having the self-mastery to choose wisely. For instance, temperance isn't about denying yourself all pleasure, but about having the self-control to enjoy a treat in moderation, rather than letting desires dictate your choices and potentially lead to regret or excess. It's a very practical virtue for cultivating healthy daily habits and maintaining inner equilibrium.
Okay, that gets to the profound bedrock of Stoic thought. Now let's pivot to the action verbs, because as you emphasized earlier, Stoicism is about doing, not just thinking. These verbs don't just describe Stoic actions. They actively empower our speech and our mindset.
Absolutely. These verbs aren't just vocabulary words you add to your mental dictionary. They are truly tools for actively applying Stoic principles in real time. First, to endure. This means to bear, to put up with a difficult situation. In a Stoic sense, it's about facing difficulty, pain, or discomfort without complaint, without breaking down emotionally, and without letting it dictate your internal state. It's about accepting what is and remaining steadfast. Like, when the project timeline was cut in half, the team had to endure a period of intense pressure, but they chose to focus on efficiency.
Got it.
Or, it's difficult to endure criticism, but I see it as an opportunity to refine my skills.
So it's not about being numb to the difficulty, but about facing it squarely with an inner strength. And then often we want to go beyond just enduring to overcome.
Exactly. To overcome means to conquer, to get over an obstacle or challenge. Once you endure a difficult situation, the next step is often to move past it, to conquer its effects, or at least to conquer its lingering effect on you internally. It's about not letting past difficulties define your future trajectory. So, she worked hard to overcome her fear of public speaking, practicing daily until she felt confident. Or, even after losing his job, he was determined to overcome the setback and find new opportunities.
And a truly crucial one, especially when we think about the dichotomy of control, is to accept.
Yes, to accept means to receive willingly, or to acknowledge as true. This is absolutely vital in Stoicism. It means accepting what cannot be changed, accepting reality as it is, rather than fighting against it mentally or emotionally. This isn't passive resignation. It's a highly strategic move to preserve your inner peace and conserve your precious mental and emotional energy for what is within your control. For example, I had to accept that the flight was delayed, so I used the extra time to read.
Smart.
Or he struggled to accept his friend's decision, but eventually understood it was not his place to control.
Which leads directly into to focus.
To focus on means to direct attention to. This is profoundly crucial for applying the dichotomy of control, where we consciously place our attention as one of the most powerful things we can control. Stoicism teaches us to deliberately direct our focus away from the uncontrollable and towards what we can influence, towards our actions, efforts, and choices. Like, instead of worrying about the outcome, I will focus on doing my best during the interview.
Good one.
Or, we need to focus on the immediate solutions, not dwelling on who is to blame.
And often when we focus, we also need to change our interpretation, which means to reframe.
To reframe means to see from another perspective or to present in a new way. This is how we consciously alter our interpretation of events, literally changing the mental frame around a situation. A challenge isn't just a barrier. It can be reframed as an opportunity to practice courage or to gain new wisdom or to develop new skills.
Oh, okay.
It's an active, conscious mental shift that can profoundly change your emotional response. For instance, she helped me reframe the job loss, not as a failure, but as a chance for a new beginning. Or, let's reframe this problem as a puzzle to solve rather than an insurmountable barrier.
And before we could reframe, we often need to make a clear distinction, which means to distinguish.
To distinguish means to differentiate or to recognize as separate and distinct. It's the fundamental cognitive skill of separating what's in our control from what isn't, good from bad, and necessary from indifferent. It's a key analytical tool in the Stoic toolkit, a critical step before you can take effective action. Like, it's important to distinguish between constructive criticism and personal attacks, or a wise leader can distinguish between temporary setbacks and fundamental flaws in strategy.
And all of this isn't just passive theory that we learned from a book, is it?
Yeah.
We need to practice.
Absolutely. To practice emphasizes that Stoicism is an active daily discipline, not just an intellectual exercise. It's not a belief system you simply adopt. It's a set of mental exercises, habits, and daily actions you cultivate over time. You don't just know Stoicism, you do Stoicism. It's like learning an instrument. You need constant repetition to master it. So, to improve his composure, he decided to practice mindful breathing exercises every morning. Or we need to practice acceptance when things don't go our way rather than always fighting against reality.
So it's not just theory, it's something you actively do every single day.
Yes.
And that leads us perfectly into what you've called the heart of Stoicism. This is the part that I genuinely believe will significantly impact our listeners' life and their ability to express themselves powerfully in English because it clarifies so much.
You're absolutely right. This is indeed the most powerful foundational idea in Stoicism, the dichotomy of control. The ancient philosopher Epictetus famously said, the most important task in life is to distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot. It sounds incredibly simple, doesn't it? Almost too obvious to be revolutionary.
It does. It sounds like common sense. I mean, everyone kind of knows this, right?
Yeah, how many times a day do we find ourselves stressing, fuming, or losing sleep over things that are totally outside of our sphere of direct influence? We intellectualize it, we know it's futile, but our emotions still get caught in the trap. This apparent simplicity is deceptive because the practice of it is incredibly challenging. Take a moment to think about it.
Yeah.
How many times have you been stuck in traffic? Maybe fuming, honking your horn, or yelling in your car, even though you intellectually know you can't change it.
Oh, definitely.
That anger, that frustration, it doesn't make the cars move any faster. It only harms your own peace of mind, raises your blood pressure, and wastes your precious energy.
Oh, the traffic example is painfully relatable. Or waiting for a delayed flight where every minute feels like an eternity of lost time and escalating frustration. You feel so powerless.
Exactly. Or the weather. How utterly futile is it to worry about rain for an outdoor event? Or to get upset because it's too hot. You can't control the clouds, the sun, or the temperature.
Yep.
Or consider other people's opinions, the endless stress of trying to please everyone, or the deep hurt and anger caused by criticism that you have no power to prevent or change. The outcome of a game you're watching, an election, a job interview. We can influence these things with our effort and preparation, but we can't dictate the final result. And of course, past events. The heavy burden of regret, dwelling on things that have already happened that are now immutable, a mistake you made yesterday, a word you said that you can't take back. All these are classic, everyday examples of things we simply cannot control.
It's a surprisingly huge list when you really think about it.
Yeah.
So what is left then? What is truly and fully in our power, like 100% of the time?
The Stoics argue that we can control our own internal world, our responses. This includes our actions, what we choose to do. Our reactions, how we respond to external events, not the events themselves. Our choices, the decisions we make every single moment, from what we eat to how we speak. And our effort, the energy, dedication, and commitment we put into our endeavors. These are the things that are truly ours to command, where our sovereignty lies. For example, if someone insults you, you cannot control their words. But you can control whether you respond with anger, with humor, or with thoughtful silence. That's where your power truly resides.
So everything else, the traffic, the weather, other people's opinions, even external circumstances like losing a job, those are what the Stoics call externals or indifference. Right?
That's precisely right. They're called externals or indifference because they don't inherently define our good or bad, our happiness or misery. They are neutral in themselves. And it's crucial to clarify that this doesn't mean we don't care about them or that we become cold and unfeeling. Not at all. We can still prefer good weather for our picnic or desire a promotion or feel sadness when a friend is hurting. But the Stoic approach is that we accept the results, whatever they may be, without letting them disturb our fundamental tranquility. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about safeguarding our most precious resource, our peace of mind, our internal equilibrium.
Right.
We can engage passionately with the world, strive for ambitious goals, but we consciously detach our inner peace from their ultimate outcomes. We act with our full effort, then let go of the result.
This sounds like a huge mental and emotional shift. And the language we use, I imagine, has to very precisely reflect that. How does this translate into English, into actual phrases and mental dialogues?
The language shift is incredibly clear and powerful, and it immediately highlights whether you're operating from a Stoic perspective or not. For example, imagine you're stressing about a big event, like a major presentation tomorrow. A common non-Stoic phrase focusing entirely on the external problem or outcome might be, "Ugh, I'm so stressed about the presentation tomorrow. What if I mess it up?"
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
This statement puts your emotional state entirely at the mercy of an uncertain future outcome, which is largely outside your control. A Stoic thought, consciously expressed in English, would sound dramatically different. Okay, I can't control the audience's reaction or the final outcome, but I can control how much I prepare, how clearly I articulate my points, and how I deliver the material. All right. So I will focus entirely on preparing well and delivering my best.
Wow, that's a big difference.
Notice the profound shift. It moves from a passive, problem-focused statement that generates anxiety to an active, agency-driven one that generates clarity and calm. It directly uses "I can't control" to explicitly identify the uncontrollable "I can control," to powerfully highlight personal power and responsibility and "I will focus on," to declare a clear, actionable commitment. This isn't just semantics or some kind of linguistic trick. It's a profound change in how you engage with reality, directly expressed and reinforced through specific linguistic choices. It's training your brain with your words.
That's truly fascinating. So what does this all mean for our daily English, for the everyday conversations we have, and especially for our internal self-talk? How can we spot these common language traps that inadvertently pull us into focusing on the uncontrollable?
Excellent, crucial question. Let's look at some common mistakes people make, both in their thoughts and in their spoken English, and then see how a deliberate Stoic linguistic shift can utterly transform them, granting you more peace and agency. Take mistake number 1, worrying about the uncontrollable, like the weather. A very common phrase focused on the uncontrollable might be, "Oh, I really hope it doesn't rain tomorrow for our picnic. If it does, the whole day will be ruined." This sounds innocent enough, right? But what does it actually do?
It sets you up for disappointment.
Exactly. It places your emotional well-being, your potential enjoyment of the day hostage to an external event, the weather, over which you have absolutely zero control. You're essentially creating anxiety out of thin air, tying your happiness to an external lottery. The Stoic alternative, expressed through proactive language, would be, well, I hope for sunshine, but I will bring a large umbrella and maybe a board game just in case. Either way, we will make the best of it.
Ah, yeah.
Why does this matter so deeply? The first phrase generates anxiety, passive hope that often leads to disappointment, and a sense of powerlessness. The second phrase, on the other hand, generates agency, proactive preparation, and peace of mind. You acknowledge the possibility of rain, you might even prefer sunshine, but you pivot immediately to what you can do prepare for contingencies. It shows self-reliance and proactivity. You're not hoping the universe bends to your will. You're adapting gracefully to the universe, ready for whatever it brings.
That's such a clear, powerful contrast. It's like trying to change the direction of the wind versus skillfully adjusting your sails to reach your destination. It completely changes your relationship with the situation.
Precisely. Now let's consider mistake number 2. Fixing on external criticism or the opinions of others, like a boss's negative feedback. The common non-Stoic phrase, often steeped in frustration, might be, "Why does my boss always criticize me? I wish he would just appreciate my work for once."
Feelings of frustration.
Yes, it's a statement of intense frustration, focusing entirely on the boss's actions, motivations, and perceived unfairness, all of which you cannot control. You're stuck in a debilitating loop of resentment, perhaps self-doubt, and powerlessness. The Stoic approach shifts this dramatically to, okay, I can't control my boss's opinion or his communication style, but I can control how I receive feedback.
Yeah.
And I can focus on doing my best work and listening for any truly constructive points within his criticism, if there are any.
So you take back the power.
Exactly. Why is this linguistic shift so important? Focusing on another's criticism, especially when it feels unfair or constant, leads to internal turmoil, anger, and resentment, making you a victim of their words. The Stoic response, however, transforms it. By saying, I can't control his opinion, you immediately draw a boundary. Then, by focusing on, I can control how I receive feedback and do my best work, you turn it into an opportunity for growth and self-improvement, regardless of the boss's intent or the quality of their criticism. You reclaim your power by choosing your response, rather than letting their words dictate your emotional state or your sense of worth.
So instead of being a victim of their criticism, you become the active master of your own improvement and emotional well-being. It's like an internal shield.
Exactly. And finally, let's look at mistake number 3, paralysis by fear of results, a classic like test anxiety. The common phrase focused on the uncontrollable outcome, often leading to a spiral of anxiety, might be, oh no, I'm so worried I won't pass this test. What if I fail? My whole future depends on it.
Yeah, the stakes feel so high.
This is a classic anxiety-inducing statement. The focus is entirely on the outcome passing or failing, which, while influenced by your effort, is ultimately determined by many factors beyond just your effort. And it's a future event, not a present action. The Stoic, empowering phrase would be, okay, right now, I will focus on studying for 1 more solid hour. I will review these key concepts thoroughly. My effort is entirely mine to give. The final result is not. Whatever happens, I know I gave my best.
That feels much calmer.
Why this shift matters so profoundly, anxiety about an uncontrollable outcome is inherently paralyzing. It drains your mental energy, clouds your judgment, and often prevents productive action. The Stoic phrase shifts focus immediately to the controllable action, studying, preparing, giving your best effort, which is empowering, productive, and brings a sense of calm accomplishment. This raises an important question for all of us. Are we spending our precious mental energy on things that actually move us forward and improve our situation? Or are we spending it on things that simply drain us and create unnecessary suffering? The Stoic choice is clear. Conserve energy for what you can act upon.
That distinction is so critical. It really puts the ball back in your court, giving you agency in what feels like a helpless situation. Now that we understand what to focus on and why it matters, let's talk about the specific language we can use, the verbal tools. This next section is about powerful phrases inspired directly by Stoicism that listeners can immediately use for themselves in their own internal dialogues or to wisely encourage others during those tough, challenging times.
These aren't just feel-good platitudes or empty slogans. They are genuinely practical tools for mental training and for linguistic precision. By actively using these phrases, by bringing them into our everyday language, we're not just speaking differently, we are fundamentally thinking differently.
Right.
We're training our minds and allowing ourselves to actively apply Stoic principles in real-time situations, reinforcing those neural pathways for resilience and peace.
Let's start with a phrase that helps us change our perspective, which we discussed earlier as being so crucial.
The phrase is, let's reframe this problem. Its power lies in its immediate proactive nature. When someone, perhaps yourself, is stuck in a negative mindset, viewing a setback purely as a disaster or an insurmountable barrier, this phrase actively prompts a search for a hidden opportunity, a valuable lesson, or a different interpretation within the difficulty.
Sure.
For instance, if a project you've worked incredibly hard on suddenly gets put on indefinite hold, instead of automatically thinking, this is awful, all that work for nothing, I'm a failure, you could gently prompt yourself for a colleague with, okay, this is disappointing, that's valid to feel, but let's take a breath and reframe this problem. What new possibilities might this delay inadvertently create? What can we learn from the feedback, even if it feels harsh right now? It's about consciously choosing to look for the silver lining, or at least the learning.
I love that. It immediately shifts you from a passive victim to an active investigator, seeking solutions and lessons. Next, a phrase to focus on immediate action, which sounds incredibly practical.
This one is a direct and powerful application of the dichotomy of control. Okay, this is the situation. What can I control right now? This is a singularly powerful phrase to shift from a state of panic or overwhelming anxiety directly into a calm, problem-solving mode.
Mm-hmm.
When faced with an overwhelming situation, whether it's a personal crisis or professional setback, it's incredibly easy to get lost in the sheer scale of the problem, feeling paralyzed. This cushion immediately grounds you in the present moment and in your personal agency. Imagine you're in a crisis meeting, and instead of everyone just expressing alarm or blame, someone could interject calmly, all right, everyone, let's take a deep breath. This is the situation before us. What can I control right now? What can we control as a team in this very moment? It effectively cuts through the noise, reduces emotional reactivity, and directs all available energy productively.
I wonder how often we jump straight to, what do I do, or even whose fault is this, instead of pausing to ask this crucial first question. It really clarifies your next immediate effective steps.
Far too often, unfortunately. It's a habit that requires conscious cultivation. Our third essential phrase is for accepting reality, which we know is a cornerstone of Stoicism. This too shall pass.
Ah, classic.
It is. This is a classic enduring expression found in many wisdom traditions for remembering the inherent impermanence of difficult moments. It's a profoundly comforting yet simultaneously realistic reminder that nothing lasts forever, neither good times nor bad times. It helps create a vital emotional distance from intense, painful feelings and cultivates the ability to endure with patience. When you're in the throes of a particularly painful setback or a period of intense grief, reminding yourself this too shall pass helps you see it as a temporary state, a chapter in a larger story, not a permanent, unchangeable identity. It allows you to lean into the discomfort knowing it has a natural end.
That's a truly powerful thought to hold on to when things feel endless and overwhelming. It provides a sense of perspective in the moment. Next up, a phrase that sounds almost contradictory at first, but is incredibly wise once you understand it.
Yes, this one is a favorite for many Stoic practitioners. The obstacle in the path becomes the path. What is this challenge teaching me? This phrase, heavily inspired by modern Stoic authors like Ryan Holiday, completely transforms our perception of problems.
So,
It reframes them not as frustrating barriers blocking your way forward, but as integral, indeed necessary, parts of the journey itself. A failure isn't just a failure to be lamented, it's a profound lesson, a test of your character, an invaluable opportunity to practice a specific virtue or to develop a new skill. If you, for example, lose a job you loved, instead of just feeling devastated and defeated, you might ask, okay, the obstacle in the path becomes the path. What is this challenge teaching me about my true priorities, about my skills, my career goals, and my resilience? Is this pushing me towards something better? It actively turns a perceived negative into a catalyst for profound growth.
I love how it encourages such a deeply reflective mindset, even in the most challenging and painful times. It changes the narrative from, this happened to me, to this happened for me to learn from. And finally, a phrase to actively protect that precious inner peace we discussed.
This is a powerful, active affirmation. I will not let external events disturb my inner peace. This statement reinforces the core Stoic idea that our reaction to an event is always our ultimate choice. It directly asserts your personal agency and sovereignty over your emotional responses.
Right.
You are consciously drawing a clear internal boundary. When someone else's inconsiderate behavior or a distressing global event or even just a frustrating email threatens to derail your calm, this internal declaration acts as a powerful shield. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about establishing robust internal boundaries against the constant chaos and demands of the world, making sure that your most precious resource, your peace of mind, remains inviolable by what is truly outside your control. It's a declaration of self-mastery.
These phrases are incredibly practical and feel like immediate tools for navigating the daily grind. But to truly embody this Stoic mindset, to really ingrain it, we also need to refine the very grammar we use, the subtle structures of our language. This is what you call the grammar of resilience, explaining how the specific language we choose regarding possibilities and obligations directly shapes or even dictates our mindset.
That's absolutely right. Modal verbs, words like can, should, will, must, could, would, are incredibly crucial here because they don't just add nuance. They fundamentally reveal and reinforce our underlying mental framework and our relationship with reality. Mastering them isn't just about grammatical correctness in English. It's about actively building a stronger, more resilient mental architecture for yourself. Our language is not merely descriptive, it is, well, constructive.
So if they're so powerful, what's the biggest grammatical pitfall we need to watch out for? The one that silently erodes our resilience.
Without a doubt, it is the pervasive and often insidious overuse of the word should. This is a surprisingly common error in English, both for learners and native speakers, and it silently drains our resilience, often without us even realizing it. Think about phrases like, I should be better at this, this shouldn't be happening to me, or they really should understand my perspective.
It's like a constant, low-level internal nagging, isn't it? A relentless, self-imposed pressure.
Exactly. The word should is problematic because it often fights directly against reality. When you say, this shouldn't be happening, you are implicitly and quite futilely stating that reality is wrong, that the world isn't conforming to your ideal expectations. And that, my friend, is a battle you will always lose. Should statements are typically backward-looking or focused on an idealized present that simply isn't real. They generate guilt, I should have done better yesterday, shame, I should be further along in my career, and regret, things shouldn't have turned out this way. This constant internal judgment, this fighting against what is, systematically drains your mental and emotional resilience because it traps you in a cycle of judging what is rather than accepting it and moving forward. It anchors you to an idealized past or an unachievable, unrealistic present rather than the actionable now. It's a psychological and linguistic dead end.
That makes so much sense. It creates a perpetual state of dissatisfaction, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So how do Stoics shift this? How do they consciously avoid the should trap and choose more empowering language?
The Stoic shift is profound and immediately liberating. It consciously replaces the judgmental, guilt-inducing should with the proactive, possibility-opening can, or the decisive, commitment-driven will. This fundamental change dramatically alters the energy of your internal dialogue and your outward communication. Instead of fixating on what should be, which is often beyond your control, we consciously focus on what can be done and what will be done. Can is all about opening possibilities and highlighting capability. It explicitly focuses on what is possible now in the present moment, given your current resources and circumstances. It inherently fosters a sense of capability, agency, and opportunity. It prompts the empowering question, what action can I realistically take with what I have right now? It's inherently positive and action-oriented. For example, instead of, I should be able to run a marathon, you might say, I can run for 30 minutes today, and then I can build on that. Will, on the other hand, demonstrates firm commitment, decision, and forward-looking action. When you use will, you're not just contemplating, you're declaring, I will do this.
Right, it's decisive.
It's a powerful statement of resolve, of personal agency, a conscious choice to act decisively. It signals intention and follow-through. For example, I'll wake up early tomorrow to finish this task is far more powerful than I should wake up early.
Let's look at a concrete example to really highlight that contrast between the draining should and the empowering can will.
Consider this common work scenario. The non-Stoic phrase, laden with should. Oh, I should have finished this project by now. I'm so behind. This phrase immediately generates guilt and regret, focusing entirely on a past that cannot be changed. It keeps you fixated on a sense of failure, leading to inaction or even further procrastination in the present. It's emotionally draining and utterly unproductive. Now, compare that to the Stoic shift using can and will. Okay, the deadline is close and I have a lot left to do. What can I accomplish in the next hour right now? I will focus on completing this next small, manageable step.
The energy is completely different.
Completely different, isn't it? This phrasing immediately shifts your focus to present action, highlights possibilities within your control, and demonstrates a clear commitment to move forward one step at a time. It generates immediate action and productive focus rather than paralyzing regret. It's a linguistic choice that literally pulls you out of a negative spiral.
That's a brilliant transformation. It feels so much more productive and less overwhelming. I think we all have shoulds we struggle with. Can we look at a couple more everyday examples?
Certainly. Think about personal habits that many of us try to cultivate. Many people say, perhaps with a sigh of resignation, I should exercise more.
Yep, guilty.
This is often accompanied by a feeling of guilt, a judgment against themselves, and frequently continued inaction because the task feels too vague or overwhelming. The Stoic shift would be, okay, what can I do to incorporate a small walk today? I will commit to just 15 minutes of movement. This transforms a vague, guilt-inducing ideal, exercise more, into a specific, manageable, and achievable action, a small walk, 15 minutes.
Right.
Ken's opens the door to feasibility, making the goal seem less daunting, and will seals the commitment, signaling a clear intention to act. It's about taking a realistic first step.
That's so much more encouraging. It's about taking a manageable step rather than feeling like you failed before you even began.
Precisely. Another powerful example relates to communication in relationships. You might hear or think, they should understand me without me having to explain everything.
Oh, that one causes trouble.
It does. This often leads to frustration, resentment, and a feeling of being unheard when others don't meet your unstated expectations. It places the entire burden of understanding and empathy entirely on them, an external you cannot control. The Stoic approach would be, I can explain myself more clearly and patiently. I will choose my words carefully and articulate my feelings with respect, even if they don't agree. Here, can focuses on your direct agency in the communication process, emphasizing your capacity to act. And will signifies your commitment to effective, virtuous expression.
Taking responsibility.
Exactly. You are taking responsibility for your part in the communication process, focusing on your own actions rather than blaming the other person for their perceived lack of comprehension or empathy. So, to summarize, learning to consciously use can and will to direct your attention to the present moment and to actionable steps is a powerful grammatical skill that actively builds a stronger, more resilient mindset. Can opens up a world of practical possibilities and highlights your capabilities, while will demonstrates unwavering commitment and intentional action. Should often just traps us in the past, in regret, or in an unrealistic ideal, draining our energy and disempowering us. It is truly a grammatical choice that determines whether you empower yourself or inadvertently disempower yourself.
That's a profoundly powerful way to put it. It's not just about what we say, but how our words literally shape our internal reality and our capacity for action. Now that we've deeply explored the concepts and the grammar, let's see how this language works in practical, real-life conversations, and even more importantly, in our crucial internal monologues. This is where we put theory into practice and see the tangible difference.
Indeed. These dialogues are not just hypothetical scenarios. They are designed to showcase the practical, immediate application of both the Stoic principles we've discussed and the resilient grammar we've highlighted. They bring the abstract into the everyday, demonstrating how these ideas can be woven into the fabric of our lives.
Let's start with a very common scenario many of us face, dealing with a significant work disappointment. Imagine Maria is upset because she didn't get a promotion she really wanted and felt she deserved.
Okay, here's how Maria might initially react, focusing on emotions and, understandably, on the uncontrollable external event.
I just can't believe I didn't get the promotion. I worked so incredibly hard for it, pouring all my energy, and it's so unfair. What was even the point of all that effort?
That's a totally natural, raw, and understandable reaction. I think most of us have been in that exact position, feeling that sting of injustice and disappointment. How would Leo, with the Stoic-inspired approach, respond to Maria? How would he guide her?
Leo would first acknowledge Maria's feelings, which is crucial for building empathy and connection, rather than immediately sounding preachy.
Maria, I completely understand your frustration. That's genuinely disappointing, and it's valid to feel upset after putting in so much effort. Anyone would.
Then he would gently, empathetically guide her towards the Stoic framework, focusing on what she does control.
But remember the dichotomy of control we talked about. You controlled your effort, your dedication, and your exceptional performance. You truly did an amazing job with what was in your power. You can be incredibly proud of your work, Maria, regardless of their decision.
Notice how he directly applies the core concept, reframes Maria's focus from the external outcome to her controllable effort and character, and uses can to powerfully highlight her inner strength and pride, something she fully can control and feel.
Right.
He's validating her emotion, but also shifting her perspective towards agency.
So he validates her emotion, acknowledging her hurt, but immediately pivots her focus to what she owns, what is truly hers, which is her effort and integrity. How does Maria respond to that shift?
Maria, I guess I did put in a lot, but what now? I feel stuck, like all that effort was wasted.
Yeah.
She's showing a slight shift, acknowledging her controllable effort, but she's still seeking direction, still feeling a bit lost in the aftermath of the disappointment. Leo then reinforces the dichotomy of control and provides several actionable can statements, gently opening pathways forward.
It's true, Maria. You can't control their ultimate decision, and that's the hardest part to accept. But you absolutely can control how you react to this setback. You can ask for specific feedback to understand where you might improve or what skills they're looking for. You can see this as an opportunity to reflect on what you truly want next, and you can keep looking for other, perhaps even better opportunities that align more with your values. Remember, as the Stoics say, the obstacle is the way. What is this challenge teaching you about your path forward?
Here, Leo not only reinforces that their decision is an external event beyond her control, but he also immediately empowers her by giving her 3 concrete things she can do: ask for feedback, learn and grow, and actively seek new opportunities. He then introduces the obstacle as the way for further growth, ending with a powerful rhetorical question that encourages her to connect the dots and find her own path forward.
That's a masterclass in guiding someone through difficulty without being preachy or dismissive of their feelings. The empathy comes first, then the empowering framework. He uses can repeatedly to show her all the avenues of agency and choice she still has, even when an external door has closed. His language truly facilitates a shift in mindset.
Absolutely. His language is firm, but deeply supportive, empowering rather than prescriptive. He's not telling her what to do, but gently reminding her what she is capable of and where her genuine power truly lies. It's a testament to how these deliberate linguistic choices, rooted in Stoic philosophy, can make a profound difference in a person's emotional state and their path forward.
Let's move to our second dialogue, and this one is arguably even more crucial because it's an internal dialogue before a stressful event. We often forget how much power our own self-talk, our inner narrative has in shaping our experience.
This is perhaps where Stoicism offers the most immediate and profound benefit for many people. The scenario here is a common source of stress. You have a difficult, potentially emotionally charged conversation coming up with a family member. Here's the anxious thought, laden with shoulds and focused entirely on the uncontrollable that might typically run through someone's mind, creating a spiral of dread. Anxious thought, oh God, this is going to be a complete disaster. They should listen to me for once and understand my point of view. What if they get angry and we end up in another huge argument? I should just avoid it, but I should also address it. I hate these conversations. Let's really break that down. We see the clear overuse of should, which sets up unrealistic expectations and fights directly against the reality of another person's free will and autonomy.
Right.
There's catastrophic thinking, going to be a complete disaster, and a focus on others' uncontrollable reactions. What if they get angry? The internal conflict, I should avoid it, but I should also address it, leads to paralysis. This entire internal monologue is a perfect recipe for high anxiety, feeling utterly powerless, and generating preemptive emotional suffering.
I can feel the tension and the knot in my stomach just reading that internal dialogue. It's a classic downward spiral of anxiety and self-doubt. Now, how does a Stoic thought, with its grammar of resilience, compare?
The Stoic thought, in the face of the exact same scenario, is incredibly empowering, proactive, and immediately calming. It's about consciously choosing your internal narrative. Stoic thought, okay, I can't control how they will react or if they will truly understand me completely. However, I can control how I express myself, calmly, respectfully, and clearly. Stoic thought. I will focus on communicating my feelings and needs directly, using I statements, Whatever the immediate outcome, I will endure it with inner tranquility, knowing I acted with integrity. Stoic thought. My inner peace and well-being do not depend on their approval or on the conversation going perfectly.
Mm.
This is a remarkable contrast. It explicitly states the dichotomy: I can't control how they will react, acknowledging the external and uncontrollable.
Mm-hmm.
But then it immediately pivots to, I can control how I express myself, using can control to establish absolute personal agency. I will focus on communicating, uses will for commitment and intentional action. And then the powerful declaration: whatever the outcome, I will endure it with tranquility. My inner peace does not depend on their approval. This asserts personal sovereignty over emotional responses, introduces tranquility as a consciously chosen outcome, and powerfully reinforces the protection of one's inner peace from external circumstances. It's a declaration of mental independence.
Wow. The difference between those two internal monologues is truly night and day. The anxious thought feels like a torrent of powerlessness, spinning out of control, while the Stoic thought is a calm assertion of control, strength, and integrity. It's truly incredible how much power and peace we unconsciously give away through our internal narrative when we forget, or simply don't apply, the dichotomy of control.
Exactly. It's genuinely fascinating how much power we give away through our internal narrative when we forget the dichotomy of control. This internal self-talk is arguably the most crucial area for applying Stoic principles and, importantly, for consciously using this resilient grammar. It's not a one-time fix. It's a daily, hourly practice, a mental muscle you build that can profoundly change your lived experience, reducing anxiety and increasing your sense of agency.
This has been such a transformative discussion, covering philosophy and grammar hand in hand. To truly make these powerful concepts stick, to embed them in your mind and your English, we need to practice. So in this final section, we're going to refine your pronunciation of these powerful words and then offer you practical, actionable ways for you, the listener, to immediately apply what you've learned.
Absolutely. Practicing these words and concepts verbally isn't just about sounding good or mastering new vocabulary. It actively reinforces the mental shift and philosophical understanding we've been discussing. When you articulate these ideas clearly and confidently, you internalize them more deeply, making them a part of your active thought process.
Let's jump into some pronunciation exercises for our key vocabulary from today. Listen carefully and try to repeat after us. First up, resilience.
For resilience, we say resilience. Notice how the S sound here is actually a soft Z sound. Resilience. Can you hear that?
Resilience. Got it. That Z sound makes a real difference. Next, virtue.
Virtue is pronounced V-U-R-chew. It's that tit sound in the middle that some English learners find a little tricky, like the chi in church. V-U-R-chew.
V-U-R-chew, like church, but with a V sound at the start. Okay, how about dichotomy? It looks a bit intimidating.
Dichotomy is dichotomy.
Yeah.
Let's break it down slowly. Dichotomy. The stress is strongly on that second syllable. K-umi.
Good. Breaking it down helps. And adversity.
Adversity is ad V-U-R-city. The stress is on V-U-R, almost like the word fur, but with a V-A. Ad V-U-R-C-T.
Ad V-U-R-C. And for tranquility, that wonderful goal of Stoicism.
Tranquility is tranquillity. That quill sound is distinctive, like quill in a pen.
Tranquility.
Tranquility, perfect.
Yeah.
And finally, the active verb endure.
Endure is N-D-R. Focus on that long sound at the end, almost like pure, but with a D, N-D-R.
NDR. Excellent. Now that we've got the sounds down, it's genuinely your turn to put this into action. We have 2 incredibly practical, actionable steps for you to really integrate this into your daily life and your English practice. Our first practice activity is what we call the Stoic Journal. Here's how it works. Each day, think of one small challenge or frustration you faced. It doesn't have to be a major crisis, maybe a difficult email, a long wait in line, a minor disagreement, or even just a tech glitch.
Something small. Okay.
Then, in 1 or 2 sentences, write about it in English, focusing only on what you could control in that situation and how you chose to respond. For example, if you were stuck in unexpectedly terrible traffic. The traffic was frustrating, but I chose to listen to an interesting podcast and stay calm. My reaction was in my control, even if the traffic wasn't.
Simple but effective.
Why is this practice so incredibly beneficial? It explicitly builds that vital mental muscle of distinction, helping you instinctively separate the controllable from the uncontrollable. It helps you recognize patterns in your reactions, allowing you to choose a different, more empowering response next time. And it fundamentally reinforces the use of resilient, agency-focused language in your thinking. We highly recommend trying to do this daily. Even a minute of focused reflection can make a huge, tangible difference in your mindset.
That's a fantastic, simple, yet powerful way to actively train your mind and your English skills simultaneously. And our second practice activity is the reframe rapido, or quick reframe.
For this, think of a common should phrase you use frequently in your own internal dialogue. For instance, I should be more productive, or I should really organize my desk, or I should have said something different. We all have these nagging shoulds running through our minds, creating unnecessary guilt. Your task is to consciously rewrite that should statement, transforming it into something empowering by using can or will to focus on immediate action and possibility. So instead of thinking, ugh, I should organize my messy desk, you could reframe it to, I can spend 15 minutes clearing off just one section of my desk right now, and I will schedule 30 minutes for the rest of it tomorrow morning.
Okay, breaking it down.
Or, if it's I should exercise more, reframe it to I can do 10 squats right now, and I will try to walk during my lunch break. This actively encourages you to challenge those draining should statements, transforming them into empowering declarations of what you can or will do, bringing you into the present moment of action.
Okay, let's unpack this for you one last time. These aren't just academic exercises or linguistic tricks. They are daily habits, practical mental disciplines that, when consistently applied, can profoundly change your internal dialogue and, by extension, your entire outlook on life. They give you concrete ways to integrate Stoicism and enhance your English.
That's truly the core message. These practices teach you to consciously choose your words, and by doing so, to choose your mindset, your emotional state, and your path forward. They help you build not just linguistic fluency, but mental fortitude.
So, to recap our deep dive today, we've explored the profound power of Stoicism as an ancient yet incredibly relevant mind operating system for building deep resilience and cultivating unshakable inner peace in our modern world. We dove into the absolute centrality of the dichotomy of control, learning to focus our precious energy only on what we can control: our actions, our reactions, and our sustained effort.
Yeah, that's key.
We've seen the immense, often hidden impact of language itself, especially the transformative shift from the judgmental and draining should to the empowering and proactive can and will.
Right.
And we've armed you with a set of practical, powerful phrases that directly help us reframe problems, accept difficult realities, and fiercely protect that vital inner peace.
And as a final provocative thought for you to carry forward, consider this deeply. If our genuine peace of mind truly only depends on our internal reactions, on our judgments and choices, what external event, no matter how chaotic or challenging, could truly disrupt it unless we actively allow it to? This raises an important question for each of us. How much freedom and tranquility have we unconsciously given away by consistently focusing our precious mental energy on the uncontrollable?
That's a truly powerful question to sit with and reflect upon. These insights, combining ancient wisdom with precise English language, can truly transform not just how you think, but how you live, how effectively you communicate, and how resilient you become. The journey of learning and self-mastery is never ending, and we're so glad you're on it with us. And that's our topic for today. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to explore the other videos on our channel to continue your English practice.